afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another informational Propagandacast State of the Balance video. This time covering April. Yes, indeed, we certainly had some bigger changes in the metagame after that patch there late March. Things have certainly been shaken up there, with in particular the improvement of the MD42, but also the sniper being more useful. That has certainly done a lot, I think, to shake up the metagame overall. Of course, all the other changes certainly also helped up, and overall we got something a bit more interesting now. I mean, you sort of start out with, say, you know, the Americans. I mean, not a lot necessarily would change. I mean, their M10's got a bit better overall, so we actually seeing them more now, since now they're a bit more durable, they're less likely to fall apart. So, and we're seeing more of those. We're also seeing more pack counts. Not that really that was bad before, but certainly, you know, adding in a bit of suppression certainly helped. It made it more interesting for some players. And the Jackson, well, still used as much as it is. I mean, it does less damage, but it's better penetration. So, I mean, overall, it still performs the same to some extent. It just, you know, doesn't quite as easily wipe German medium armor. So, I mean, not a lot really changed, but at the same time, things have still changed. Even they themselves weren't directly changed, and that's due to the changes to other armies. And we're actually seeing more, you know, play less for just lieutenants and M20s. We're seeing more captains, and we're seeing more grenades sort of being used, in particular versus the Wehrmacht. So there have really been some changes there. I mean, there's sort of a few more paths. We might see from the Americans, we might see more armor being used. We're seeing more infantry be used, also in particular because the mortar have been improved. Though, interesting enough, you're not seeing the mortar have being used a lot more, at least as of yet, because of that. But still, more grenades are being used, more smoke is being used for the Americans. So in that regard, you know, things are shaping up there to be a bit more interesting in some ways. And overall, things are looking to be a bit more interesting playing versus them, but also playing as them. So, I mean, overall, looking all right. The Soviets got some changes as well. I mean, PTOs has now performed better, so now we're seeing a lot more Guards infantry. We're seeing overall thus a huge drop in shock trooper spam. We're also seeing more conscripts with the PTOs, thanks to Titan counter-duct, of course, that's being a bit more useful, and the upgrade for them also being, you know, more useful. We're also seeing a bit more of this and that. Armor-wise, we're also seeing a bit more experimentation, but overall it's less, you know, playing straight for an IS-2. Now there's more other tanks. We're even seeing some half-tracks from time to time, and even then, you know, there are some reactions here, of course, to the Wehrmacht buffs. Again, I'll get sort of more on the specific about that, but still, there are reactions, and that's also changed up sort of the Soviet early game, though, of course, there needs to be some reaction then to the Soviet sort of PTOs play, but again, I think that will come as we're seeing more snipers, but also MD42s, we can certainly pressure them a bit more as well. I mean, overall, there are a lot of things happening there. And certainly the Soviets are also beginning to be a bit more interesting. I mean, there's still lots of stuff just stick to sort of trying to stick to the late game, but again, as the Wehrmacht sort of gets a better hand of its tools, I mean, we'll probably see that being a less of a grand idea, and there'll be more change as well, more of a mix-up. Because again, it's really with the Wehrmacht things are really happening because again, the buff to the MD42, the buff to the sniper, even the buff to the scout car has really done a lot to sort of make the Wehrmacht early game a lot more dynamic, a lot more interesting, a lot more capable of doing several things at a time, rather than previously where it was rather limited in some regards. Now with the sniper being more durable, you can pull off more sniper strategies. MD42 doing more damage, and now sort of pulls more its weight, and thus can also pressure. I mean, that's why we're seeing more grenades, we're seeing more smoke in response to the snipers and the MGs. The 2-to-1 scout car being more durable also helps it sort of in that way. So I mean, overall we're seeing more strategy, we're seeing more developments, we're seeing less kind of ear spam, though it still happens. And we're overall just seeing more different play styles. That also means we might see more tier 3, we might see more tier 4, because again, people can now experiment more with the strategies. I mean, that's overall a good step in the right direction there. I mean, of course, still some problems, but part of me would now say at this stage, we should probably just wait and see what happens, because overall I think there's still a lot sort of to come in terms of the metagame and it changing. So at this point, I would be a lot more cautious about sort of changing up units. Still think, for example, the Stu G here could do with better frontal armor. And there are probably some few other units here and there, for example, Nations to 6 could still probably do with some small changes, for example. And the Oberkommando West, of course, still needs a bigger overhaul. I mean, the Oberkommando West, not really a lot has changed. I mean, we're seeing, you know, less overall spammy. Oberstdorf has certainly dropped incredibly much. We're seeing more Fallschirmjägers, more Jägers. Not a lot of Panther Fusiliers, there's still something there. There's more MD34 play, a bit more half-track play. The infantry gun seeing more usage. I even saw an infrared half-track being used in conjunction with it. So overall, there has been some slight changes there to the Oberkommando, but it's not really something that sort of really fixes the fundamental issues. But even then, even with the Oberkommando West, things are looking a lot less stale. So I mean, overall, I mean, despite all the issues there might still be with the patch, I mean, it's overall, I would say, a lot more interesting. a lot more nuanced and a lot more capable of different things. It's not just, spam infantry, spam infantry, spam infantry. There's more room for support weapons, there's more room for experimentation, overall sort of different ideas, and that's the good stuff. I mean, that's really the point where I say, there might be some issues, but the fact it's not just all one thing over and over again indicates things are still moving in the right direction. So, overall, I'm rather liking that. I mean, again, as for changes again, I mean, Stu G could do with a buff. Maybe the 251 half track could do with a bit. SU-76 could probably benefit with something, and maybe some of all those mechanized groups could do with some slight cost decreases, sort of make them a bit more viable. Again, Obo Commanders still say we need an overhaul. Yak Panther 4 needs to be useful. Can actually need to deal with infantry rather than currently where it's just a piece of junk half the time. King Tigers and Yak Tigers, I think, could actually do with a slight cost decrease, in particular with the armor decrease of the King Tiger. I mean, it's easy to deal with, so it's currently instead of just being super expensive after a long upgrade path, the thing's a bit much. And the same with the Yak Tiger. I mean, if anything, maybe decrease its health a bit, because the Yak Tiger was incredibly mechanically unreliable, so, less health to sort of reflect that, I think, would be a sort of an acceptable idea and a compromise, just to sort of see that being used a bit more. Looks, I think, could do with the smokescreen sort of to make it a bit more viable, and as I think some more commander-based units sort of need some changes to the veterancy, and I still think the False Gunners need some kind of upgrade as well, but there you go. But overall, it's at the moment a lot harder for me to sort of pinpoint anything to sort of directly need some serious change as such. Now, there's no unit sort of beyond that really stands out as being massively overpowered. Again, apart from just say we should just sort of wait and see how the meta game plays it out at the moment, because it's still changing. We're still seeing a lot of strategies and tactics play out, and in that regard, I think rather like to see sort of players try to sort it out rather than just sort of start crying for Relic to fix it. Because right now, I think we're sort of looking at a good spot where we should just try to sort of see if we can't play around it rather than just sort of crying overpowered right away at the moment. I mean, I might be wrong here, and it's only in which case, of course, I'll more than happily admit it. Well, probably not happily admit it, but still, at the moment, I think it's sort of more about our time, sort of trying to figure out new strategies and tactics, sort of try to play around things a bit. But overall, I'd say things are currently looking positive, interesting, and optimistic. So, I mean, overall, thumbs up here. So far, against some stuff could still be changed, but again, I'd be more careful about making changes now and be careful about making some sort of huge overhaul. So I think that rather sort of covers it for the state of the balance here for April. Hopefully this has been informative. Hopefully it gives you some ideas as to how you can sort of play the game. And again, my advice right now will be to sort of try and play out some different things. Try to, not just do what you normally do. Try some new tactics out. Try some new strategies. Try some new force compositions. And also try to avoid listening to that voice inside your head that goes, well, this won't work. Just try it out and see if it does work. Because one of the things that sort of can hold you back the most is basically that little voice in the head that says, oh, this will just happen. Don't necessarily think that always will. There's always, exceptions and whatnot. So anyways, thank you all, and see you all another time. This is Imperial Team. Cheers, and thank you all for watching. Bye!